Are you considering becoming an intermittent faster? Well, I've been fasting for 4 years, and I'm going to give you tips that you can use today to start fasting and to do it successfully. My number one tip is to make a commitment to yourself. Starting fasting is going to be a lifestyle shift. You are used to eating all day long, 3 meals with snacks in between, and fasting is very different than that. Don't expect it to be easy, expect a transition, but if you've made a commitment to yourself and you expect that transition, you will stick with it. When you know, okay, today may have felt crappy, tomorrow might feel crappy too, but you stay with it, the days are gonna feel less crappy, you're gonna make the adjustment, and eventually fasting will be your new norm. It's not gonna be easy and super fun to adjust, but every day that you do it is one less day that you have to get through. My second tip is to only focus on fasting. Whatever you choose, whether you start with 16 hours of a fast and an 8-hour eating window or a 20-hour fast and a 4-hour eating window, let that be all that you focus on. Don't start fasting and a workout routine and changing your diet and suddenly overhauling everything in your life. Focus on fasting. Learning to adjust to fasting is a lot of work and a lot of discipline, and you don't need to add everything on it. You can change your diet eventually. You can add in a workout eventually, but you don't need to do it all at the same time. Fasting is a great habit to pick up, and I would focus just on that so you don't become overwhelmed and eventually burn out. My third tip is to download a free fasting app. This just really takes the guesswork out of it. I use the Zero app. I've used it since the very beginning. I've never used another one, so I don't have any compare and contrast, but I've never paid for an app. I use Zero, it's free, but I track my fast daily. I set my timer when I start fasting, and I end it when I open my eating window, and then I start it again, and it tells me exactly how long each of my fasts are, and I have a goal set in there. I have an 18-hour goal every single day. It tells me when I've met my goal, how much longer until I meet the goal, and it really just makes it easy to know where I'm at. I don't have to do the math and figure out what did I do yesterday, when should I eat today. I can just check the app on my phone, or I use an Apple Watch and an iPhone, so that app is compatible with my watch. I can simply look here and see that I am 17 hours and 4 minutes into my 18-hour fast. Additionally, if you're using an app, sometimes if you close your eating window and you have 2 hours into your next fast, it might be motivation to not add that little snack when you're tempted early in your journey. You might have closed your eating window and then you suddenly have a cupcake available to you, but you're 2 hours in, you're not gonna wanna reset that timer, or at least it'll give you pause before you do it. Like, is it really worth it? Do I wanna give up those 2 hours I already have into the next fast? I think it just is extra motivation, especially early in your journey. My fourth tip is to have drinks available. I really recommend clean fasting, and I do have videos just about clean fasting, but if you want the best start possible, I would really focus on having unflavored coffee, tea, and water, and only those during your fasting times. And then anything that you want can be in your eating window. But I really think that I find a lot of success because I keep those drinks available at all times, such as my sparkling bubbly water. I love this. I usually save it for the evening, but it's one of my favorite beverages. It's bubbly, but it's unflavored, and it's different than just ice water. I love iced tea. I love iced coffee, and my absolute favorite, of course, is hot coffee, and I drink all of those daily. But having a variety of drinks, especially early in your journey as you're transitioning, is nice because maybe you have your hot cup of coffee in the morning, then you have a cup of ice water, and then you're looking at lunchtime and you normally would be eating, you could then give yourself an iced tea, something that's a different variety, but it's still not breaking your fast. And having all of the drinks available to you and easy and within reach is going to make it much easier for you to continue fasting because you'll have that variety. And when you're not thirsty, you're less likely to feel hungry because a lot of people do mistake hunger and thirst. And if you're well hydrated, you don't have to worry about that. Tip number 5, enjoy your eating window. Now, I have been saying this for the past 4 years, but I think it's one of the most simple concepts. If you fast all day and then you get to an eating window and you really get to enjoy it, guess what? That's going to be a process that's easier to repeat. Now, compare that idea to if you fast all day and you're learning and it's hard, and then you get to an eating window and you're having diety foods that you don't even enjoy and you still feel restricted. Are you likely to repeat that cycle? Probably not. But if you fast and you're adjusting, and then you get to an eating window and you're like, wow, I can have this salad and pizza with my family and a beer to go with it, and wow, that was extremely satisfactory, and then you close your eating window and you're full and you feel good and you enjoyed it. The next day when you're fasting, even if it's a little difficult, you're going to remember that really pleasurable, enjoyable eating window, and it's going to be motivation to get to the next eating window. And I'm not saying that you get to the eating window and you eat a dozen cookies and half of a large pizza and a case of beer. That obviously wouldn't be to your benefit, but I'm saying that you get to the eating window and you don't feel restricted and you're able to enjoy the taste and the foods that you really like. It's going to be much easier to repeat that behavior. So allowing yourself to enjoy the eating window is going to give you that to look forward to each day while you're fasting. And then eventually, once fasting's your lifestyle and you have a daily eating window that you really enjoy, you're going to be made in the shade. And finally, you're just going to think of this one day at a time. It's going to repeat one day at a time. Get through day 1. And then day 2, don't think of I'm going to be fasting forever or this is never going to end. Think of, okay, yesterday I was successful. I can do this tomorrow. So just remind yourself one day at a time. And every single day can have an eating window. Every single day can have an enjoyable eating window where you feel satisfaction and you feel good and you enjoy the food. And if you allow yourself that every day, and then you allow yourself to take it one day at a time, eventually it's going to be your new lifestyle. And just like me, you'll have joyful fast, joyful life. I, of course, came to fasting for weight loss. I have lost the weight, I maintained the weight loss, but it didn't end there. And if you want to see why I don't mind the thought of fasting forever, you need to check out this video right here. Thank you so much for watching. Ciao, down and ciao.